Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions, the worlds of TV, film, news, pop culture, lifestyle, music, everything really depending on the guest we talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. We're talking about a movie that's going to be part of the Canadian Film Festival this year called Sugar Daddy, and we are speaking to the director, Wendy Morgan, and the star and the writer, Kelly McCormack. Wendy, Kelly, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you for having us.
It's always exciting, right? Because, you know, people that know, like, making a movie is a process. It is. It's that they know that. What has it been like for both of you? Start Wendy, like this. It's finally like it's gonna finally be shown to the masses. Like, what's that been like for you? That kind of as it sunk in.
That's a really good question. It's been like it was a huge build up to make it. And then making it was this very intense, very fun, very crazy period of time that I really miss now. And then everything since then has been, I don't know. It's also been kind of longer than expected with COVID and everything like that. So I'm, it's always exciting to see people's reactions, and I'm really excited to have a broader audience be able to finally see it. And I'm just excited for it to now have sort of a more public life.
Absolutely. Yeah. For sure. Now, Kelly, you wore many hats on this project, and that's exciting because you're in the movie, you wrote the movie. Couple things for Sugar Daddy specifically. What was that like, kind of wearing many hats? And then in general, did you always envision yourself wearing many hats in the entertainment industry?
Well, it's really the only way I've made films up to this point. And I come from the theater industry where it's very normal to be an actor, get on stage, write stuff, make stuff. It's very collaborative. That's sort of the type of stuff I want to do. So I was always intended to write and star in it and produce it. And that's kind of like the way I like to make work. I think as for female stories specifically, like you kind of have to have as much control as you can to make sure you exact the vision that you're looking for. So it definitely is my MO at this point.
Absolutely. There's something specifically that I loved about this film, and I want to tell you about it. And I want you, Wendy and Kelly, I want you to kind of, it's more of like a statement or reason why I loved it rather than like a question. So I'll comment on it. Is this movie does not stay in one box. There's a lot going on in this movie. You know what I mean? There's a lot of kind of moments where it's uncomfortable, where it kind of has the drama, kind of has the thriller aspect of it at times. You know what I mean? There's a lot kind of going on. I really enjoy that about this film, how it did not just limit to yourself, and it kind of bended the genre, so to speak. Wendy, what do you think about that when I say this is a genre-bending movie? Do you agree with me in some capacity?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the first time I've ever been like, yeah, definitely not a genre movie. But I think, Kelly came, with this very strong script and this idea of music. And I think together, also with the rest of the team, with Mara, with Jesse, we started delving into how the music could be translated visually in this film. And I think that's what you're reacting to. And for me, it was really a comfortable space to be in because since I've come from mostly music videos and those kinds of that kind of work, I like music to be represented in sort of just really, what would I describe them as, like transcendental visual moments. So I think that's what we tried to do, because I personally find it, for example, like concert films or things like that, pretty boring. So I want to see what the artist is thinking and feeling. And that's why we kind of go from reality to Darren's reality to what's in her head. And, I think that was a really fun way to approach it.
Absolutely. Can you add to that a little bit? Like, of my comment of it being a genre-bending movie, what do you think about that comment? Do you like that comment? Do you agree?
I love that comment. I love any and all reactions. I mean, ultimately, I had one aim with this, which was to make people a little uncomfortable. And,
True, that was my favorite thing to do.
yeah, it was something that like we really pushed for. And over the 5 years developing the film with our creative producers, Lauren Grant and Laura Lozinski and Wendy as well, it was about how do we make this character more flawed? How do we make her decisions more intricate, more embedded in her own fears and her own lack of self-awareness, and yet still root for her. So we're watching a character who's sort of barreling down this path, and her feet aren't below her. She's sort of like running almost like comically tilted. So in that way, I think that in the question of whether or not it like dips into different genres, we're dealing with a character who doesn't know who she is yet. She doesn't know what her persona is. She hasn't released herself to the world. And as what Wendy said, we're not relying on like an audience like clapping in the film. We're watching an artist try and figure out what her persona is and where her artistic voice lies. So she's like kind of dipping into different, like into opera, into electronic music, into producing, into this, into pedal steel, into piano, into, being like more overt with her lyricism, or being more sexual, or being more. So it's like we're watching her trying to figure out who she is, and therefore what kind of woman she is. And I think that's how that's probably why it has this sort of genre bending quality to it, because it's a woman trying to imagine herself as herself.
For sure. And Wendy, from a director's point of view as well, this film has a lot of conversations between two characters where, my favorite kind of things about movies these days is a lot could be said in just one little kind of conversation, and a lot can be felt with one conversation where it doesn't seem like it's going to be impactful, but conversation with two people at a restaurant or a coffee shop can make you feel like very scared or uncomfortable at times, right? When you were kind of directing this film, did that kind of come into play as well? Like how certain conversations that Kelly's character is having with certain people and everything, did you kind of think about that, making them very impactful, even though it's just kind of like a casual conversation?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the writing was already very strong to start with. Yeah. And I think when we were shooting, we were very conscious of, Darren in the film is navigating every exchange she has with all of these sugar daddies, with her friends, with her roommate. She's like in this constant sort of tug of war for power, for control in a way. And so yeah, I think that's what you're responding to, especially I think in this specific movie, it's a lot of it's Darren against all the different characters, and watching her sort of evolve in terms of how she reacts and responds to people. So yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nose on pretty much what it is. It's about the transactions that Darren has as a character and how she navigates that world, right?
I wanted to ask you that from the director's perspective. Let's now ask someone from the writer's perspective. Hey, Kelly. Those kind of conversations that, like, do you know where I'm coming from? Where some of the conversations directors are having, it's kind of like there's a lot going on. It's not just it seems like it's just a one-on-one kind of interaction, but the audience feels a lot with these conversations that your character is having.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think for my interest as a writer is I'm very invested in subtext, and I'm very invested in what the characters are saying versus what they're actually saying. Yeah. That is my kind of interest as a writer and as a performer as well. Like when you have those like dueling layers. So I think maybe it was a little of a selfish choice to say I wanted to write something for myself, which would feel more puzzling, more tension, and again, like John Cassavetes and Robert Altman and like these types of like greats in dialogue writing were kind of in my head, and which is why like the big turning point for the film is like a huge dinner scene with so many people and so many dueling perspectives. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm invested in subtext, and I like characters who aren't conscious of their subconscious motivations. And Darren, throughout the film, is not aware of why she's doing X, Y, and Z, but she's sort of barreling forward. And that is where, as an actor, as a writer, as an artist, is where I'm interested in unpacking like the human experience. But obviously I'm privileged because from the writer's perspective, I know what she's doing and why she's doing it, but she doesn't. So it was important for us to find these moments where we can watch Darren navigate these transactions, because if she has all the answers, then she's not worth watching, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we're all Canadian here, and this is a Canadian film. Shout out to Canada. This is a stacked cast, and I think this is something also because a lot of our shows and our content, Kelly, all these TV shows and comedy specifically, have now done so well on the global stage because of streaming platforms, so people notice. But people are also going to recognize a lot of people in this film from a lot of their favorite TV shows, which is exciting as well, right, Kelly?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they're all my buds. I mean, like Jess Salguero, we're in Letterkenny together. Amanda Brugel and I had worked on something before. Nick Campbell and I did a play together. Dio Horn and I, Kenneth Dio Horn and I did Letterkenny. I met her on Letterkenny. Yep. Ishan Dave, I've done theater stuff with him. So it's like a lot of casting this film was me texting my friends. Will you come audition for this, or will you do this? But you know, Canada has like some of the greatest talent in the world, and recognized sometimes more than others because the film has sort of hit it big in the States. But you know, these are all my buds who I go drinking with and ride bikes with and jump around Toronto with. And yeah, and like besides, I think Colin Fior, which was the only person that we didn't know going into this, and we sent him many very heartfelt letters to say yes. I think everyone in the film is somehow like connected to people that we like. Aaron Ashmore I did Killjoys with, and he had also worked with Lauren Grant, our producer. So you know, it's like it takes a village, and oftentimes you just yell down the street like, can you come help?
Absolutely.
And that's how a lot of Canadian indie films are made.
Wendy, what was it like working with this cast that Kelly just brought up?
It was a gift because everyone was so great. Like, I'm trying to remember struggling with any of the actors, like literally. Well, I'm sure, there was a few, like, but really, but like not big parts. No, it was amazing because everyone was super pro, and also I think more so than me, a lot of them had relationships with Kelly from acting with her, and I think that for them brought an extra level of sort of care and kindness, and you know, I think they were all super excited to support Kelly. So there was just a really awesome feeling on set, and you know, the characters were all so interesting, and I think everyone really enjoyed their time on set and their time in those characters and stuff. So it was wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Wendy, Kelly, thank you so much, both of you, for coming on Popternative to chat about Sugar Daddy. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And Kelly, I feel like this is a long time coming because I've interviewed a lot of your friends that you mentioned that are on Letterkenny. You know, Dio, Jess, they've all been on the show. So. Absolutely. So the film is going to run at the Canadian Film Festival, which is pretty soon.
April 1st, yeah. Thursday.
April 1st, absolutely. Yeah, no April Fools there. It's actually running.
Yeah.
And April 6th, it's going to be on VOD and digital, correct?
Yep. Wherever you watch on demand.
Absolutely. And where can people follow, Wendy, where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
My Instagram is Wendy Morgan with an extra N.
Absolutely.
That's Wendy Morgan double N.
Kelly, what about you?
I'm on Instagram, Kelly and Phyllis, and also the film you can follow at Sugar Daddy Film or the hashtag Sugar Daddy Film as well. We're going to be posting a bunch of cool social things, so definitely check us out.
Fantastic. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, be sure to catch Sugar Daddy at the Canadian Film Festival and catch it wherever you kind of watch your films, April 6th on VOD and digital. Until next time, this is Kelly McCormack and Wendy Morgan and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.